For Francis, intimacy wasn't a feeling. It was a business transaction. And so, after a brutal 4-hour shoot under the harsh blue glow of studio lights, the air in the room was heavy, thick with the scent of sweat and expensive cologne. The cameras finally stopped rolling, and the fantasy dissolved into a quiet room. And Francis packed his gear, bidding his crew and partners goodbye with nothing more than a cold, professional nod. To the world, he was an architect of desire, a man who traded in pleasure. But as the door clicked shut, the silence rushed back in. He was left alone in the fading blue light, a creator standing in the wreckage of a beautifully manufactured lie. While the crew cleared out, his partner Kent lingered, lazily searching the floor for his discarded clothes. And Francis didn't look up. He'd already transitioned into the cold, methodical process of editing. On the glowing monitors, the raw footage began to loop. And Francis sat with his fingers dancing over the keyboard, cutting color grading, and curating perfection. He wasn't just adjusting contrast, he was sculpting a fantasy for thousands of anonymous eyes. But as he sliced the footage, a strange chill settled over him. He was staring intensely at the screen, analyzing a man who bore his own face, but felt completely like a stranger. On the timeline, the digital version of Francis looked flawless, confident, alluring, and entirely unbothered by the world. But the real Francis, sitting in the dark, could feel the heavy strain in his shoulders and the hollow ache in his chest. He, frame by frame, reviewed his own expressions, watching how effortlessly he smiled for the lens, how perfectly he performed passion on command. It was a masterpiece of illusion. He realized he had built a fortress out of pixels, a mask so convincing that even he couldn't remember what lay beneath it. He was a ghost editing his own ghost. It would be in Kent. It would walk back into the studio space, grumbling as he searched to the floor for the discarded designer underwear he'd worn during the shoot. What does that mean if you want to see what you do, housing fun and finding them? He stepped over to the desk, leaning over Francis's shoulder to watch. The silence stretched until Francis all of a sudden stopped typing, staring at his own digital reflection. Without looking up, Francis asked quietly, "Do you think anyone could ever truly love me, knowing what I do for a living?"
Kent let out a low, cynical laugh that cut through the hum of the hard drives.
"Lust and love are two different languages, Francis," Kent muttered, his voice dangerously calm. "No one is going to love the man behind the camera when they've already bought the man in front of it." Now, Kent's words lingered in the dark, and therefore like toxic smoke. He grabbed his things, offering a casual wave before the heavy studio door clicked shut, leaving Francis completely alone. When Francis sat frozen, the harsh blue light washing over his pale face. Now, Kent's cynical truth had pierced right through his professional armor, exposing a raw, aching vulnerability. And slowly, with a trembling hand, Francis reached for the mouse and clicked save. As the progress bar filled, his heart sank into an empty abyss. He stared into the glass screen, wondering if there was anyone left in the entire world who would ever want to see him with his clothes and his mask completely off. The screen went black,